Hi everyone, this is Nirali Shah and I'm here for my book read on The New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, Creating a Better Life. And this is the day 12th of my read, a gift read as part of Philosopher's Stone Book Club, which is connecting on a wonderful book, and the book's name is quite a mystery for those who become part of it, so I'm not going to reveal that. But we'll soon begin with a book that you're already aware of, and if you've been listening to me, if you followed these videos or you've enjoyed the content that I've been reading, this is a very unique platform, Philosopher's Stone Book Club. The name itself has a very beautiful deeper substance to it, and there is a reason why it is named Philosopher's Stone Book Club. If you want to know more about it, do get in touch. I just brief you with all of you to what this club is meant to do. This club is basically invented to explore those hidden aspects of our human psychology, human subconscious, unconscious, and the aspect that connects us with the world, with the universe, with the cosmos. So it's a beautiful platform meant for unique kind of people. So if you think you're a unique one or you're the weird one and you've always had difficulty fitting into the world, maybe this is a platform where you will find people who will actually get you to the kind of weirdness that you have. So yeah, do connect if you're intuitive, you're a sensitive, empathetic being who've always had questions for life, or who've always wondered and you have always been seeking how things work and function in the world. And I know I have been that kind of person, and I have been very fortunate, and I would say I'm very grateful to the universe for having received this answer in various forms in huge 18 years of journey. And I'm so happy that I'm going to continue on this journey with many more people on board with me. So yeah, if you like it, if what we're going to be reading here, if you enjoy that, do join and be part of Philosopher's Stone Book Club. Gift yourself this Christmas something that is meaningful to you and the very reason why you came on this planet, on this earth. There is a reason why we all exist on this planet, and not just to study and graduate and then find a job and then have a family and then go on and on with all the worldly routine life. There is something more to us, and it is time that we know and we awaken that part of us that knows that we are here for a bigger purpose, a bigger reason. So I'm going to kind of start with a recap of what we read yesterday. It was about entertainment and media, and the crux of the entire chapter was that try and put out something if you belong to that side of the profession, or if you are anybody who is an influencer, an inspiration to many people. Create something where people understand how unconsciousness work, how pain bodies work, and how it's impacting our lives, our future generation, how we're carrying the pains of the past in our bodies, in our energy bodies, and taking it further into our next generation as well. So create something that awakens and help people get rid of that pain body, rather than that helps people to be more, remain more in that pain body. All the negative thoughts, all the fear-based news that we read, that after some point we feel, it's carrying us, or it's, adding more fear in our, mind. Not that kind. And it's time that, we have that kind of media, that kind of entertainment that gives and adds more in our life. The entire idea of entertainment is that we expand and not contract and feel violent and fearful. Alright, so today we're reading a very, very interesting chapter. The chapter is called The Presence, in which Eckhart Tolle shares some of his own experience to how he mentored one of his mentees who came to him seeking for help. And I really enjoy this, and this is something that, this word, the presence, I'm exploring right now even more in a deeper aspect. So I think I'm going to enjoy this reading out to all of you today. So here we begin. A woman in her 30s came to see me. As she greeted me, I could sense the pain behind her polite and superficial smile. She started telling me her story. And within 1 second, her smile changed into grimace of pain. Then she began to sob uncontrollably, and she said she felt lonely and unfulfilled. There was much anger and sadness. As a child, she had been abused by a physically violent father. I saw quickly that her pain was not caused by her present life circumstances, but by an extraordinary heavy pain body. We explored the word pain body in the previous chapters. It is the body that is created out of the pains of the past, and when and until we hold on to those pains of the past, and if we not release the pains of the past, this pain body takes charge of our life decision, and it functions by ruling it. The more and the powerful and the bigger our pain body is, and this is so important for many of us to know at this point in life, that the more powerful our pain body is, the more stronger it takes our decision, and the more miserable our life feels. However, just like this lady, however we have this fake smile on our faces, it's still superficial, it's still not from within, and we always feel that lack of peace and lack of happiness from within. Now let's see what happens further. There was much anger and sadness in her, and her pain body had become the filter through which she viewed her life situation. She was not yet able to see the link between the emotional pain and her thoughts, being completely identified with both. Sometimes we see mind and our emotion as one. We do not know how to differentiate what is going on in the mind, what is going on in our emotions. Many people somewhere cannot even pinpoint what is it that they're feeling. We have closed down ourselves with our emotions so strongly that we feel we don't even want to acknowledge and recognize which emotion we are feeling right now. The only simple emotion that we all recognize and wrong is anger. Anger is wrong. We shouldn't be talking like this. We shouldn't be doing like that. But anger is a result of so many suppressed pain body emotions, and the pain of painful experiences is resulting into anger. And the anger, when it explodes and expands, and is still not finding resolution to that pain body and this painful experiences, anger turns into violence. So this is how the world functions. Now let's read further. In other words, she lived with the burden of a deeply unhappy self. At some level, however, she must have realized that her pain originated within herself, and that is where she was burdened to herself. Now, this is beautiful, because many people feel that the burden that they feel in their life is because of somebody else. But then there are many people who feel that the burdens that they carry are, they are becoming burden to them. So they are a burden on themselves. And these are the places where, some of the most unhappy experiences and situations and mental conditions happen. She was ready to awaken, and this is why she had come. Now this is again a beautiful sentence Eckhart Tolle has written here. is that only and only if you're ready to be awakened is where a person like him or anybody who's going to show you what is going on in your life shows up in your life, if only you're ready to awaken. So if you have, or if you've seen somebody who has this kind of an awareness and who has helped you to transcend and transmute that part of you, then you have been a very lucky being present at this moment. I directed the focus of her attention to what she was feeling inside her body and asked her to sense the emotion directly. Instead of thought, the filter of her unhappy thoughts, her unhappy story. Now, here Eckhart Tolle is basically asking her to sense the emotions that she is feeling, and not what is making her unhappy, and not what story is that she has for being unhappy. Most times, when something happens, something sad happens, we have those stories, then this happened and that happened, and so that's why now I'm feeling this. So this is a story. Now, she said that she had come expecting me to show her the way out of her unhappiness, not into it. Now see, we have this expectation and ideas about how a person is going to help me. So the same way, like many of us have that idea. She had a similar idea that when I'll go to Eckhart Tolle, he would help me out of my unhappiness magically. I'll not be asked to connect with my unhappiness situation and what emotions I'm feeling at the moment. So she expressed her view that this is what I was expecting. Now why was she expecting this? Let's read further. Reluctantly, however, she did what I asked her to do, and tears were rolling down her face. We reject our emotional body for so long, and when we are somewhere even given an opportunity to connect with our emotions and recognize what emotions we are feeling in that unhappy situation, is the first time we are connecting with the body. That emotional body is our own body. It is not somebody else's. It is not something that is rigid, or that is an object. It is a living thing. So it's not a good idea to reject what your emotions are trying to tell you, because they are living things, and most times we are programmed, most times we are taught not to look at our emotions, because the world, what would the world say? So now Eckhart Tolle here is asking this unhappy lady to get in touch with her emotions, and the tears are rolling down her face. Her whole body was shaking, and at this moment, this is what you feel, I said. This is exactly where she was in connection with what she was always feeling. There is something you can do about the fact that at this moment this is what you feel. Now, instead of wanting this moment to be different from the way it is, which adds more pain to the pain that is already there, is it possible for you to completely accept that this is already here? Is it possible for you to completely accept that this is what you feel right now? Now, after you recognize and acknowledge is where comes the idea that you accept what you're feeling. If you're feeling unhappy, you accept that. If you're feeling angry about a certain situation, you accept that. If you're feeling you're uncomfortable, if you're feeling that you are hating this XYZ person or XYZ situation that is happening in your life, then you acknowledge that, you accept that. She was quiet for a moment, and suddenly she looked impatient, as if she was about to get up, and said angrily, "No, I don't want to accept this." This is where Eckhart Tolle says, who is speaking? I asked her. You or the unhappiness in you. Can you see that your unhappiness about being unhappy is just another layer of unhappiness? See how many layers of unhappiness we hold within our bodies, in our emotional body, in our pain body. And one layer is trying to protect the other so that we do not add more unhappiness in it. Wherein to be free from the layers of unhappiness, we have to begin to acknowledge what we are feeling in that moment. How beautiful this is. Now let's read further. She became quiet now. I'm not asking you to do anything. All I'm asking is that you find out whether is it possible for you to allow those feelings to be there. You know, when there is something that is there and you say it's not there, that is where the added pain gets into us. You know, it's like, I was giving this example to somebody. It's like you're a parent and you have a kid, a beautiful kid, and who likes to jump around and loves to play around and likes to talk about all the emotions that it goes through. Now when that child is playing around you while you're working, you're very busy in your day, and this child is playing around and you wouldn't acknowledge this child, you wouldn't accept this child the way it is, and what will happen then? This child will begin to feel hurt. And this is exactly what we're doing to our emotion. Now, is it our child? Should we acknowledge the child the way it is? The same way, all the emotions that we feel in a certain situation, are there our emotions? Yes. Then should they be at least needed to be accepted that they are there? And that is what Eckhart told this lady, unhappy lady, that at least would you be able to acknowledge and accept that these emotions are there in you. Now she looked puzzled briefly. And after a minute or so, this unhappy lady, sitting silently, took a little while, and I suddenly noticed a significant shift in her energy field. Now, being Eckhart Tolle, he could sense things energetically. So when something shifted positively in that lady, he was able to see that now in this silence, now she began to acknowledge what she was going through. This is weird. I'm still unhappy. But now there is space around it. It seems to matter less. This was the first time I heard somebody put it like that. There is space around my unhappiness. That space, of course, comes when there is inner acceptance of whatever you're experiencing in the present moment. I didn't say much else, allowing her to be with the experience. Later, she came to understand that the moment she stopped identifying with the feeling, the old painful emotions that she lived in her, the moment she put her attention on it directly without trying to resist it, it could no longer control her thinking and so become mixed up with a mentally constructed story called the unhappy me. Now this is so beautiful, and why? I mean, the way I see it is that the lady had come to him with a story that, I'm unhappy and I'm this and that is happening to me and nobody's understanding me, this and that. Now the moment Eckhart Tolle showed her how to get in touch with her own emotion and what she's feeling, her unhappiness did not change at that moment, but then she knew what to do with her thoughts and with her emotions. And so every time she got in touch with her emotions in the truest way and acknowledged them and accepted them, that these are the emotions that exist in me in this sad and happy situation, her thoughts were no more controlling her mind. She got a freedom from her thoughts controlling her mind, and when we are not controlled by our mind, we are able to take action that is more in line That is more in line rather than anything that is irrational, that is anything, with anxiety or with panic. So with more balance and more peace, isn't it what we always look for? So now let's see what happened further. Another dimension had come into her life that transcended her personal past, the dimension of presence. Here comes the final word, presence. Since you cannot be unhappy without an unhappy story, now this is important, you only have to have an unhappy story to be unhappy. And if you change that unhappy story, you will no more be unhappy. Now how to do that? Now that's the trick. And she was lucky to have Eckhart Tolle or somebody like him to change that for her. Do you have somebody like that in your life? If not, find one. Since you cannot be unhappy without an unhappy story, this was the end of her unhappiness. It was also the beginning of the end of her pain body. Emotion in itself is not unhappiness. See, somewhere we feel that if we feel emotion, we will be unhappy. Now, the Eckhart Tolle is saying that it's not emotion that makes us unhappy. Only emotion put in unhappy story is unhappiness. When our session came to an end, it was fulfilling to know that I had just witnessed the arising of presence in another human being. The very reason for our existence in human form is to bring that dimension of consciousness into this world. I had also witnessed a diminishment of the pain body, not through fighting it, but through bringing the light of the consciousness to it. Just in the beginning of this read, I said that, we're not just here to, educate and then have a family and then have a profession and then marry your children. There is something more than that, and one of the reasons why we are here is bringing more consciousness into this dimension. A few minutes after my visitor left, a friend arrived to drop something off. As soon as she came into the room, she said, "What happened here? The energy feels heavy and murky. It almost makes me feel sick. You need to open the window, burn some incense." I explained that I had just witnessed a major release in someone with a very dense pain body. And that was what she felt must be some of the energy that was released during our session. Now, this happens many a times. Something heavy happens at a certain place. We somewhere come to know, even though we don't know what happened here, we somewhere come to know that something very happy has happened. Now, this is important. And why? Because, there is this word of oneness and tapping into the oneness of human consciousness and the cosmic consciousness. Now, all of this somewhere says that we are all connected. And if we exist in our pain body and then there is somebody who exists in the pain body, we can tap into each other's pain bodies. So example, during this 3 months of lockdown, we were completely, restricted in our houses. We used to feed on each other's fears. I had a fear example of a certain thing of, my business going down, or me getting infected for the virus. The same fear, if somebody else had that in less or a bigger quantity, the person is able to perceive that energy, perceive that pain. And this is where, there's an involvement of collective pain bodies. And the same way there is collective pain bodies, same way there is bliss pain bodies, that is collective. And then same way there is collective consciousness as well. So what is it that we choose to tap into? The pain body, the bliss body, or the collective consciousness? For me, it's collective consciousness. Make your choices. So my friend, however, didn't want to stay and listen. She wanted to get away as soon as possible. The lady could perceive the other lady's pain body, and this is where she felt very heavy and she couldn't get in touch with her own emotions, and she didn't want to get touch with her own emotions, is where she ran away from that place. I opened the windows and went out to have dinner at a small Indian restaurant nearby. What happened there was a clear further confirmation of what I already knew, that on some level all seemingly individual human pain bodies are connected. We can feel each other's pains. Although the form this particular confirmation took did come as a shock. This was a shock to Eckhart Tolle, and let's take it more as an awareness for us, that if we have known this, if you're the one who is able to see other people's pain, then let's see if that is the pain that we also hold within us. And if yes, then what is it that you're doing about it? Are you ready to cleanse your pain body so that you can at least tap into the happiness that is within you? So here we end this chapter, the presence, and with that we are entering into this beautiful chapter tomorrow, that is the pain body in children. This is a very beautiful topic, very important topic, in which we are going to see how children get pain bodies and how they function. And somewhere as parents we miss out on recognizing that this is not their drama, this is not their the bahana that we say. There is something going on in the child and we are not able to see, neither the child is ready to see. And when this is not seen, recognized, acknowledged and accepted, is where we are giving more charge to the pain body. So tomorrow at 9:10 we'll be reading this chapter. Is very important for all those who are parents. So see you tomorrow. Take care.